The whole key is you can't wait for it to change. Then you're going to thank Him. You have to thank Him in advance. That's your faith being released. Jonah would have continued complaining, begging. We wouldn't be talking about it. You could be at a destiny moment. If you keep worrying your prayers, begging God to change things, discouraged over what's not happening, that can keep you from your purpose. Look back over your life. There's not a time that God has failed you. May not have been easy, but He made a way. He sustained you through the loss. He had mercy on your mistakes. He opened doors you couldn't open. He brought awesome people into your life. Why are you doubting Him now? Why are you worrying your prayers? Start adding thanksgiving to your request. Be a Jonah. Thank God in the midst of the challenge for what He's about to do.
In my mind, it doesn't make sense that to grow something, you should dig a hole and cover it with dirt.
Well, I want to make the distinction about being planted, because the act of planting can be confusing, because planting looks no different from burial. You bury the dead to get rid of the body, but you plant a seed so that it can go through a metamorphosis and come back up better than it was when it went down.
Everything you see above ground that blossoms and that's beautiful, it was underground one time. When you under stress, don't just think, man, Lord must not mean for it to be. How you think you're going to be a plant without no dirt?
As long as you take a bag of seeds and keep it on the shelf, you'll never have a harvest. You can take a bag of seeds and put it on the shelf and put it in the light somewhere, and it will never produce, because seeds were designed to produce in the darkness. Because in the privacy of darkness, seeds begin to go through a metamorphosis. The transformative power of God, the ability to turn this into that, is often done in the dark. Oh, it's often done in the dark. He puts you in a private place, and there He begins to bring about change. It was dark, but it wasn't over. It might be dark for you right now, but it's not over. You might be going through a season of the absence of a thing that you legitimately need. You might have to go up without what your neighbors have, but it's not over. Sometimes you have to go through something to find out who you really are, to find out that you can do more than you thought you could do. If I look around me, I see circumstances. If I look in me, I see hope. If you've been looking at some things that's been discouraging you, shut your eyes to what you see. The power that's going to deliver you is coming from the inside. I just want to stop and thank God that He allowed me to go through my changes in the darkness. I came to preach to somebody that might be in a dark place right now. I came to tell you that weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. That where you are is not where you're going to be. I came to tell you that you got hidden treasure that your first grade teacher might have lied when she said you couldn't learn, or you couldn't be, or you couldn't do, or your first girlfriend might have lied when they said you were nobody. But after this, you shall come forth. I'm better. I'm better than I was when I went down. I'm better for it. I didn't like it, but I'm better for it. You see, I was planted in a dark place, but I'm better for it. Every time you go through something dark, remember you've been planted, not been buried, and when you come up, touch somebody and tell them, I'm coming up.
We believe, we stand in faith, but nothing is changing. Nothing feels any different. Still dark outside. This is what faith is all about. You can't see it, but you have to know you passed midnight. Yes, it's still dark outside, but the sun is on its way up. Don't be discouraged by the dark. The dark is not a sign that God is not working. Thoughts will tell you, you would have seen something by now. You have to walk by faith and not by sight. Because 11:30 at night doesn't look any different than midnight. There's no evidence that it's a new day. You can't see it, but when you prayed, you left the PM and you came into AM. You may not be able to see any sign of it. Victory begins in the dark. It's tempting to think that God has forgotten about us. The fact is, light is on the way. You may have struggled in an area a long time. In your marriage, your finances, it seems permanent. God is saying, you've already entered a new day. You can't see it yet, but victory is on the way. The dark means the sun is on the way up. Who can stop the sun from rising each morning? All the forces of darkness cannot stop what God has ordained for you. In the face of that darkness, get in agreement with God. It may be still dark out, but I don't go by what I see. I go by what I know. My breakthrough is coming. My victory is coming. If that difficulty was going to stop your destiny, God wouldn't have allowed it. That trouble can't keep you from your purpose. The anxiety, the depression is not permanent. That difficulty is a setup for Him to show out in your life. What you're up against may be bigger, more influential, but you and God are a majority. There's not an obstacle He can't move. Not an addiction He can't free you from. It may be dark all around you, but when you come into that new day, things suddenly shift. And sometimes you see it all at once. Other times you see it later. Just keep thanking God that He's fighting your battles. Then you're going to come into these times where God will suddenly show out in your life. You may have areas where it feels dark right now. That's a test. Will you praise Him in the dark? Will you talk like it's going to turn around? Believe that healing is coming? Don't go by what you feel. Your emotions will try to convince you that it's never going to work out. Look how big those obstacles are. Walk by faith. Keep a song of praise in your heart. Well, Joel, I've been doing this a long time. Why nothing is changing? I've learned the longer it's taking, the better it's going to be. And when it's taking a long time, that's because the blessing is bigger than you can handle right now. He's getting other people that are involved in place. Don't be discouraged because it's been dark a long time. That's a sign God is about to do something that you've never seen. Now keep praising Him in the dark, giving, serving. When you do that, suddenly doors are going to open. God said in Psalm 50, call unto me in the day of trouble, and I will rescue you. In our difficulties, we call people, call relatives, call experts, and that's all fine. But make sure you call out to God. He created the universe. He has all power. You don't have to plead with Him. He's longing to be good to you. Just ask in faith for what He's already promised. Take His word and pray bold prayers. Well, Father, you said I would prosper and be in good health, that I would lend and not borrow. So, Lord, I'm asking you to supply all of my needs. Give me overflow so I can be a bigger blessing. It may be dark in your life right now, but don't let the dark fool you. It's not a sign that your business is not going to make it. The enemy sent it to keep you from your destiny. The good news, God has overruled that scheme. That darkness is not going to last. The sickness, that trouble at work is not how your story ends. It's a new day. The sun is about to break forth. Abundance is in your future. Victory is in your future. Instead of complaining about the dark, have a new perspective. The dark means light is coming. Don't be moved by what you see. Things may not look any different yet. Don't worry. Light is on the way. It may not happen on our timetable, but I can assure you the sun is going to come up in your life. Well, Joel, it sure feels like midnight. God always starts in the dark. That's a sign He's about to burst something new, something unusual. If we could see how it was going to happen, we had all the resources, we wouldn't have to depend on Him. Instead of getting depressed, the right attitude is, yes, it's still dark, but I'm not worried. I know it's after midnight, light is coming. In the scripture, Job went through a dark time. Life was good, then the bottom fell out. The scripture says Job was the most righteous man of his day. You would think he wouldn't have any dark seasons, but life happens to us all. And just because you're having difficulty doesn't mean you've done something wrong. What I want us to see is the darkness is not permanent. At some point, God is going to shift things. You're going to come out promoted, increased at a new level of your destiny.
150,000 people died yesterday. Do you actually get that? And you are still here. And you can't find something to be grateful for? You're still complaining about teeny tiny little struggles. But I bet that if it was possible to give an option to all 150,000 people, all of them would gladly change places with you right now. You're alive. Your heart is beating. You have food, water, shelter, clothing, a few people that love you. You have so much to be grateful for. You have to learn to stop focusing on what you don't have and start focusing on what you do have. Because life isn't about having what you want. It's about being grateful for and wanting what you already have.
Whatever is important to you, where your heart is, there is the mind. Where the mind is, so where the intention is, there is the energy. Where the energy is, there's the creation. So, if your heart is hanging on something, but your actions are doing something else, that just means your energy and what your heart really wants, they are not merging at all. So the universe doesn't know. What do you want? What should the universe give you now? So for me, it's all about alignment. What I feel inside aligns with what I talk. It aligns with what I think. It aligns with what my actions do. It aligns optimally with the proper circumstances. When everything is aligned, then the energy can just flow. Then it just flows and it just happens.
If life was nothing but green lights and we didn't have yellows and reds, then what the hell would it all be for? We need the yellows and the reds. That's how we evolve. Go fail more. Go fail more. Forget them. Those people on the sideline that are saying the thumbs down or calling you something or being snarky, they're on the sidelines for a reason.
Freud said once, in retrospect, the struggle will strike you as most beautiful. Like the years of struggle will strike you as most beautiful. And it's true. You think about the worst moments of your life from earlier. Now they're integrated into who you are. And in some ways we understand that we couldn't and wouldn't be where we are without those things. We know not only is that true in a positive way, but it's also just true in how the mind works. Like the mind is really good at, this is what cognitive dissonance does. It works on you in a way that makes this thing for the best, even if it wasn't for the best. Like we're so worried about, will I regret it? You won't regret it because you actually don't have that many regrets at all. The mind is pretty good at minimizing that feeling of regret. We convince ourselves that what happened was for the best. So we know this is almost certainly where we're going to end up in 6 months, in a year, in 10 years, in 30 years. And so why torture yourself in the interim, right? Why not give yourself some of that grace now?
Anxiety is literally nothing more than you thinking about something in the future and thinking about it in a manner where it starts to sound an alarm in your body. First of all, if you catch yourself worrying, if you catch yourself out in the future catastrophizing, if you catch yourself in that, what if this, what if that, if you let your thoughts spin, it will spin you out of control and then you're going to start to feel anxious. And so you want to count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And one of the best, most effective things you can insert as a different pattern is this. What if it all works out? What if it all works out? What if I get on this plane and even though it's bumpy, it still lands and it all works out? Because you can't argue with that. If you can stabilize your thoughts, your body settles down and it doesn't escalate. So you're going to interrupt the worry, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you insert something else. You can also say this moment will pass. You can say I can handle this, but you've got to interrupt those thoughts and insert something else.
And familiar feels safe. We are programmed every day to seek safety. Programmed to avoid discomfort because it's safe. Programmed to stay small because it's safe. Programmed to play victim because it's safe. Programmed to seek validation because it's safe. Programmed to repel money because it's safe. We are programmed from the moment that we were born, to our childhood environment, to the people that we hang out with, to the music that we listen to the news that we watch, to the television shows that we binge. We are programmed to seek safety. But it is your responsibility to take ownership over your programming, or else you're going to live life asleep. And what's the point of that?
The energy that you give is the energy that you get. And that's what everything, that's what your mentality, that's what the things that you say, that's what the people that you hang out with. So it's so important that you surround yourself with people that's going to fill you with life and things that's going to fill you with life. And don't do things that's going to take life out of you. Make sure that your vibration is high, your energy is high, that your energy and efforts and your mentality is in a great spot. And most days are going to be good and bad.
Right? You have to learn how to embrace where you are with the bigger vision and the bigger picture in your heart and in your mind. Right? That's the point of a vision. A vision is to help you see past the current circumstance. Right? So if you're in a tough situation, right, or in a tough circumstance, what having a vision for your life does is it helps you to see past that. I know that where I'm at is just a stepping stone. It's just a moment in time in a greater vision.
Exercise more, push more magic into the marketplace, give more value to people, read more books. It's harder to keep on pushing, but that's what legendary is. See, the great legends are the ones that are at the top of the mountain and they keep on trying to get better. So I suggest to you with great respect that nothing fails like success.
Just a friendly reminder that sometimes, a lot of the time, self-love is just doing things you don't really want to do, but you know are good for you, and then trying to be kind to yourself in the process. Over and over and over and over and over again.
Excuses will destroy you and take everything that you ever wanted from you if you let them.
The ability or the belief to believe in yourself to accomplish any task, no matter the odds, no matter the difficulty, no matter the adversity. The belief that you can accomplish it. Self-confidence.
You wait to be perfect before you start. You may never start. Excellence is a process. It happens when you do your best over and over again. You don't have to be perfect to begin. You don't have to be perfect to appreciate yourself. You don't even have to be perfect to be loved or to love.
We could all tightrope walk. You could walk down a straight line without worrying about anything, but you take that exact straight line and put it 20-story high and you remove the balconies, you're going to be so concerned about the idea of falling that it will make you fall. And that's where the superpower is, in removing the fear.
People get frustrated not achieving what they want because they assume that they're going to jump across a cavern in one leap. But if you picture your goals like you're trying to build a bridge across that crevice, and every brick that you put on that bridge is progress, and each one of those bricks represents a skill that you need to learn along the way, it just takes all the way until you get to the other side that you can actually walk across. And so the walking across is the outcome. It's the external perceived achievement.
The best way to avoid burning out is to stop living someone else's dream, is to stop waking up every morning to help them fulfill their vision and their goals and their dreams. And you start working towards yours.
To be a human being in this world means inevitably we feel pain. We all go through this. We all have moments of loneliness, of depression, of feeling like we don't have a purpose in life, of being aimless, of not having energy, of being depressed, etc., etc. And when we have these moods, we try to explain them. Well, yeah, maybe it's because I woke up this morning, or because something happened earlier the day before, or something in my child, something's wrong. But I want to tell you, the source of your pain is your social life. It's the fact people are the source of your pain, that you misunderstand them, that you misread them, that you're constantly bumping into them and having these problems and these issues that I mentioned. That is why you feel lonely. That is why it's draining you. All of this turmoil, all of these emotions are draining you of your energy, and it's making you listless. It is making you confused.
Some people might say, yeah, but what's the point of this growing? What do you mean by growing? Why would I always need to accept every challenge just for the sake of growing? Because this growing is the opposite of something is decreasing, something is dying, something is closing up. To grow, to open up, is the same as to bring light into the things.
Every decision matters. With every decision you make, you are either moving closer or farther from your destination. Every single one, no matter how small it may seem. Deciding whether to sleep in or not, go to the gym or not, eat at McDonald's or not, it all contributes to either progression or regression. It is important to note that the more consecutive good or bad decisions you make will exponentially increase their impact. If you continue to make bad decisions, your state of being will decrease drastically. Likewise, if you continue to make good decisions, your life will drastically improve. Therefore, do not underestimate the power your gift of choice bears.
Every season has an expiration date on both sides. With grief, that will come to a close and you'll be okay on the other side. But then also your good times will also have an expiration date. So learn to be really grateful for those good times. That's been the biggest lesson for me. Let go of control and accept the things that happen to you and then learn to love them. You have to learn to love it. I don't have to understand what happened, but I have to learn to love that this is my experience and it's a part of it. And all I can do is move through it to the other side.
Which do you think is more important? More positive thinking or less negative thinking? Which is more important? Where do you get the most mileage? It's less negative thinking. About 70% of our negative thinking goes unperceived by us. It is so embedded. Positive thinking is important. You keep it up, keep it high. But if you want to get your real knowledge, just cut down on the negative thinking. Cut it down, cut it down, cut it down. That's the villain voice. That's the critic in your head. That's the demotivator. That's the discounter. That's the one that raises the doubts. It takes practice. It takes some discipline. But you can shut it up.
And you be committed to the process of what you're doing without being emotionally attached to the results of what you're doing. In other words, if the outcome changes, does it change who you are, what you said, and what you seek to accomplish? Because for most of us, when we don't get what we want, a champion is made on the other side of I don't feel like. Right? Everybody that gets up every single day, they might not feel like it. But there's certain cats that's going to embrace it and figure out a way to get better. There's other cats going to retreat, they're going to quit, and they're going to settle into mediocrity.
The thing that they all have, all the great ones have, they have this unstoppable belief in themselves. And even if they lose, they learn. They lose, they learn, they come back, they get better.
But you have these like missions that you have to complete to get to the next level. And then when you go through your day, people distract you. There's loads of distractions. They're everywhere. You know what I mean? They're just there to sway you off your path of what you woke up in the morning to think and to do to get you to the next level of your game.
Everyone has the possibility to unlock something very, very special about him or herself. And it's up to your actions, ultimately it's you yourself who also is able to unlock it.
Why do you listen when your boss tells you to do something, but you couldn't care less when you tell yourself to do something? Why do you have an alarm set to get to work on?
Hey everyone, Daily Key Motivation 2024. Today speak to change, then you're going to thank him. You have to thank him in advance. That's your faith behind released those world him. Continuous completion, begging we will be talking about it. You could be at a decision destiny moment if you keep worrying your parents, begging gods to change things, discourage over what not happening. That can keep you from your purpose. Look back over your life. There's not a time that God is failed you. May not have been easy, but He made a way. He sustained you. Thought the lost He had mercy on your mistakes. He opened doors you could open. He brought awesome people into your life. Were you dating him now? Where you worrying your parents? Start adding thanksgiving to your request. Be a zone. Thank God in the mindset of the challenge for what He's about to do. In my mind, it doesn't make sense that they grow something. You should dig a hole and cover in with dirt.